Hi, so for the purposes of today's video, I would like to compare the Judo ground game with the Jiu-Jitsu ground game. There's many differences between the two, both in regards to our submissions and the ways we lock up our positions. But for now, let's look at it just from the purposes of positionally. So, let's begin with our more standard side control between Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, beginning with Judo. For Judo, what we're looking to do with our side control, or more common for Judo, we're more commonly referring to it as our Yoko Shiogatami. My left hand in this case is going to be forming forming a little crossface on our partner's head, just like this. Our right arm in this case will be looking to go through our partner's legs here. And then I would be grabbing the skirt, the pants, but I would be forming this hold here. Next, what I'd be doing is I would be looking to posture down on our person, sprawling my left leg out and holding our partner so. A variation of this Yoko Shiogatami is what we call a Kazure Yoko Shiogatami, and it would refer to holding my partner in the same kind of configuration, but having an underhook on this arm. So I still have my leg, but now I have an arm in my hold down. Now let's discuss why this would be the preferred method of holding someone down in Judo. This is in regards to the win condition in Judo, the potential win condition. So in Judo, if I hold someone down for 10 seconds, that would be a half a point, or a wazari. For a full point, I would need to hold this person down for 20 seconds, and that's called an ippon. And if I get that full point, then I win the match. Now, with our grips, I had a grip for my standard Yoko Shiogatami. I had this head and this leg in my grasp here. Notice for this, I do not have a means of isolating his arm and attacking. My right arm is occupied by keeping control over his hips, and my left arm is focused on controlling this head. Ignore my leg configuration at the moment because we're just focusing on the upper body means of control. So, with those grips, I cannot isolate a limb, for instance, to attack for a submission. My grips are optimized for the purpose of pinning this person down, which is that checkmate in Judo. That's completely different than for our Jiu-Jitsu. For our Jiu-Jitsu side control, we would be more commonly looking at isolating the head, so this part is the same, but then we would be using this right arm to isolate his arm here. So now notice I'm under this arm of his, and I would be getting my figure four with my hands. This control, I'd actually be figure fouring this way. This control is designed to create pressure on this arm for submission. So I could use my head to isolate his limb and look to come across to attack this arm. In Judo, I do not need to make that step. I'm holding him down to win. But Jiu-Jitsu has that further requirement of not just pinning the person in order to win the match, but isolating a limb or a neck or something like that to submit this person, and that is how you would win in a Jiu-Jitsu match. So, the differences between our positions for both Judo and Jiu-Jitsu vary because I win these things in different manners. I need to isolate limbs for the purposes of winning a Jiu-Jitsu contest because I need to be able to attack them after I get this pin. Judo, I just need to get the pin and be able to hold it. One more little thing when it comes to our side controls. In my Jiu-Jitsu context, I'm holding here, and I'm holding this arm here, and I have my figure 4 again. In this control, notice I don't have much ability to do anything with his legs. This not having much ability to control his legs has created a lot of problems in our modern day Jiu-Jitsu, where side control is really not thought of as the dominant position it once was, because as soon as I get here, it doesn't at all change his ability to bridge and look to get into me for his shrimps and recover his guard. I don't have these means of control. So, a really common means of, well, a more argued means, which is becoming more common, is to use this controlling arm, this arm that is under our partner's arm here for isolation purposes. It is now becoming more argued that this arm position should be focused on isolating at this hip line here. When my arm is here, it limits his ability to move his hips out this way. If he can move his hips out this way, then he can threaten me with this knee. If I place my arm here, my elbow right here, he can no longer have that ability to move. It's creating more of a vice on these hips. This is very neat. Also, this little idea of pinning the hips in this way was from Craig Jones's instructional of Power Ride. He is the one arguing that this would be a preferred means of holding our side control. What I find this position to be is kind of a halfway point between our Judo way of holding it, which is here, and our Jiu-Jitsu way, which is normally here. If I hold my elbow at the hip, I haven't given up on the means of attacking his limbs, but I'm not completely isolated towards that limb, and I'm not solely focused on it. I'm giving myself the ability to maintain my side control and form attacks on this limb by holding my arm here as opposed to under. But these have been some brief thoughts on this topic, and we can also look at it from many different possible positions. So we might continue this as a series, maybe looking at mount, or maybe looking at our Keisagatame type positions. And our Keisagatame positions, for instance, would be, one is having our head controlled in this kind of manner very briefly going into this. My left leg would be up and open, out, in our jiu-jitsu context of putting pressure into our partner's chest. That would be our Keisagatame standard. And our Kazura Keisagatame would be controlling the limbs more like this. We can also look into how our grips would differ between Judo and Jiu-Jitsu in those types of positions as well, and also our leg configuration too. But I hope you have enjoyed this brief lesson and gotten something out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing. Take care.